Achoo! I hear a girl sneeze behind the corner ahead. I think to myself that it's a quite familiar voice as I walk more rapidly towards my destination. It's right after lunchtime. The three princesses do not show up in the dining hall. Celeste, who had a maid send her meal to the library, Lyra, who claimed to enjoy her lunch at her own place, and Ling, whose absence was not pre-announced. Without the two highnesses of silence and irony, a delightful atmosphere was spreading around with Cheryl's validity. Neither the fencing class nor the practice of the miracle play has begun. We have a precious rest time at noon, which I would love to spend leisurely. Even Intella is standing by Shirley with a smile on her face. If it wasn't for Diana leaving the saloon with an excuse, and Shirley going back to her room angrily, I would really have liked to stay a bit longer and get to know the princesses more. Mr. Rez? And now the princess who claimed to have an appointment somewhere elsewhere, just before, stands right in front of me with a pile of books in her arms. Diana, your highness? A book is lying on the ground with the sound of sneezing just now. It's difficult to imagine what has just happened. My guess is the book was dusty and she was trying to read it or something. Or maybe she had it on top of the stack of books, she sneezed, it fell on the ground. Weren't you on your date? A maid could have carried these books for you. I stepped forward to pick the book up and about to give it to her. Ah, please. Why don't you get myself? These books belong to Celeste. The girl accents the latter part of the sentence with her silver hair swinging. A name spoken in such a way must surely have some significance for Diana. Okay, Celeste. That is the name of the 7th princess. Big sister, probably? She lives mainly in the library and is known as Master of Magic in this garden. I still recall that Archmaid Finn mentioned once that it is Celeste who maintains the operation of the Hanging Garden. Then, is this a magic book? That's actually kind of interesting. If these are books that need to be treated with special knowledge and care, then no maids are qualified. Yes, because the garden always troubles Celeste. I can't help but glance at the cover of the book. No, this could not be. But the title looks familiar to me. That is the book that I borrowed as Mr. Rel read it as well. She takes the book clumsily and places it among the other books in her arms. Yes, I have. How have I not? I saw the sentence that slipped by my mouth. This book, Born for the Sword, though written a long time ago, was the fashion among the young upper class when I was in the army. The author only intended to create an unrealistic hero at first, but he had no idea how a hero would influence the youngsters who were eager to build their fame. Thinking carefully, I have read this book a couple of times. I can even recite some of the paragraphs fluently. Mr. Rez? I snapped back to reality, realizing that a pair of bronze eyes are staring at me, right in front of my face. I apologize immediately. Excuse me, Your Highness. I have lost my mind talking with my lady. It doesn't matter. So this book means something to you, Mr. Rez? My face is telling you everything. My face, yeah. Her sight moves to the book I handed to her. With her bronze eyes blinking, she looks back at me. She nods her head confidently. Apparently, unlike last night, she seems to be much more optimistic during the day, due to some unknown reason.
要一起去吗？
Would you like to go with me? Sure. I mean, if that's okay. I murmur with confusion.
图书馆。
The library? Yeah, I kind of figured that. She slightly leans her head and speaks with a matter of course.
想听一听艾
I
尔
would
先
like to
生
hear the
和这
connection
本书的因
between
缘。
Mr. Rez and... and this book. Seeing as last time she got kind of depressed, I'm gonna go with her. Then obedience is better than politeness? What? Obedience is better than politeness. After all, I'm free this afternoon. Maybe this is a chance to meet the 7th princess who I have never seen. Okay. Diana whispers gently and walks ahead along the corridor unsteadily. Yeah, I think I need to help her. I agree. Sorry about that. I accidentally pressed the stop recording and start recording key instead of enter. Of course not. She has more stories to tell that little girl. Her hands were under her cheeks just now. Her face had an expression of concentration. Now all the concentration turns into a sincere look of flurry. It is my honor to please you, Your Highness. Her kinds of girls will easily get teased if born in the royal house. What? I think they meant she's the kind of girl that will get teased easily. Yet, from the very beginning, every time I met with Diana, Your Highness, we spent our time talking about stories of the world outside. Yes, that is true. But it was you who talked every time. Ooh, probably not the best thing to do. Actually, not the best thing to do. Makes you seem sort of self-centered. She looks around almost as if seeking someone's permission before nodding with her head with determination. Well, then let me tell you a story of another person connected to it. The girl raised her book, Born of the Sword. Mr. Irel, have you heard this story of the Supreme Blade? She begins telling me the story. That is a story no one has ever heard. Once upon a time, when humans and gods were living together, some of the gods walked upon the land of Latoy. One god in particular, who got along especially well with humans, chose the mountain on the north of the land to be his residence, as a substitute for his home in the heavens. The name of this god is Iris, Trailer of the Swordsman. Guardian of the weak, the iron to protect the artisans. The mountain he lived on, Mount Ciesa, reached into the sky like a sharp blade. Back then, humans had not yet received magic power from the gods, and were very weak. They could not protect themselves from the dangers of the land. It was the spring blade Irez who stood out and raised his self-casted sword due to his sympathy to those who had died in vain. The first strike cut into the ground, creating a channel as a barrier from the eastern land that was full of ancient monsters. The second strike crushed stone, lowering the northern valley into a basin. Fiery lava burst forth, forming the so-called Crimson Path, also known as the trial fields of true heroes. The third strike tore apart the sky and summoned a thunderstorm that broke Mount Siesta, forging the core of the ridge into 5 magical swords, which could create miracles with mortal's power. In order to cast these 3 strikes, spent all of his power. After that, he was never seen again. A giant statue was built at the foot of Mount Siesta by mortals as a symbol of gratitude. It was a figure of a sword standing upright on the ground with its tip buried deep in the soil.
在那之后，
After that,
代替爱
the
丽
one
丝
who
行走人
walked
间
among
的，
mortals instead
既是
of
他的女儿，
Irez was
年
his
轻的
daughter,
介于夜
a
晚
young
之
god
神
of sword and
夏
night,
乌斯。
Zexius. This name belonged to the opponent who fought with Zin, the protagonist of the book Born of the Sword. Perhaps in accordance with the 3 strikes her father had cast, the goddess's sword asked the young swordsman to accomplish 3 victories against her. This is the first time I ever heard the story. Astonished, my lady. Maybe because my family tradition, even though I was born in Silentia, I'm not a true believer. If it wasn't for the fact that magic truly exists, I might not believe in God at all. From that point of view, the accusation that resulted in my demotion was not completely untrue. I thought to myself sarcastically. In this country filled with poems chanting the gods, documentation of the gods is very rare, merely consists of general ideas, giving no true feeling or understanding to the readers. Sort of like what are those, like, you know, if you've been to a bookstore, you can get Cliff Notes. Sort of like Cliff Notes. You know, sort of hinting at something, but doesn't actually give you the full view. By the way, never use Cliff Notes. Your teachers can actually know about them, and they will give you a bunch of punishment for that. Not actual punishment, but, you know, they don't like it. They'll lower your grade because if they find out that you use those. I mean, for instance, on their tests, if they find out a Cliff Note happened to have the answer for one of the questions, they'll change that question so that the Cliff Note now does not have the answer to the question. So yeah, it's kind of pointless to go out and buy Cliff Notes when they're going to be changing the test so that it doesn't have the answers anymore. However, the story I heard just now is completely different. Mount Siesta and the Crimson Path are real names of places, even though they are not within Silentia, but instead the territory of Vanastoi. On the other hand, there is indeed a channel which separates the eastern islands and the continent, looking exactly like it was cut by a sword.
谢谢你，艾尔先生。不过，这不是单纯的故事，是神话哦。
Thank you, Mr. Irez, but this is not merely a story, but a myth. All myths have a hint of truth in them. I'm serious. That's why they're called myths, not stories. Because a myth means that it could be true. It's an ancient tale that we now have no proof of. The silver-haired girl thanks me with a smile. I didn't expect that such such precious books would be kept in the garden, Diana. Your Highness, could you please tell me on which books these myths are recorded? I requested sincerely. Diana should be generous enough to fill my little curiosity. However, the girl hesitates, her eyes looking around, showing a face of embarrassment. May I say that I don't know, Mr. Ivalrez? I guess I'm just going to have to ask the 7th princess. One more time, I make sure that this princess was not born in the royal house. She knows the answer, but she'd rather not, or cannot tell. Whatever the situation, she does not have to say, and could have evacuated me with other excuses. But she didn't. Not at all. It was I who asked abruptly. My apologies. Yes, consider her feelings. I stand up. I just remembered I left my watch in the fencing hall. Please excuse me, Your Highness. If talk continues, it will get more embarrassing. Goodbye. Bowing to the girl with an apology, I walk out of the library as quietly as I can. That should be the end of it. I picked up the cup on the desk and take a sip. To my surprise, it doesn't take long to tell her the hobbies of my younger days. The memories that were once concealed for a long time now seem to be crystal clear. I could never imagine that I could remember those days back in such detail. Though it was not what I intended, my last year as a civilian could have been a good thing for me. Those childish stories must have bored you, Melody. I doubt that. I put down the cup before looking at the silver-haired girl on the other side of the wooden table. No, not at all. I'm more than happy to hear them. Because now she has more stories to tell